Scott Ferrall on a bench, coast to coast in the biggest way possible, hanging out. The bad, say the boogie, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake it up, along with the Prime Minister of Canada, who's about to resign today in an extraordinary development north of the border. And if he does resign, or if they force an early election against the right, then he might just be full-time with us on SportsGrid, which would be a shake-head-oo moment. It's, of course, Cam Stewart live, ladies and gentlemen. Mafia running it with R.A. Dickey on the board today. Robert Anderson, not the Robert Anderson that I was the best man in his wedding. This is a different Robert Anderson who I don't know, but I'm getting to know today. Thank God for that. It's a Misery Monday. C2C, good to have you with us. The rundown, we got a double shot with Morency from Vancouver this very hour. Coach James Young in the second hour talking rack. And, of course, the one and only South Floridian Joe Ranieri from Miami, FLA, with all of that gorgeous hunk, all today on C2C. Let's talk about NFL Pain Day, Skinny Sunday. Cam, both of our teams took it in the arse. The Steelers lost. The Seahawks got worked from the jump. I mean, the Packers took that game right by the neck in their first possession, and the game was over.
It was over, Scotty. You talked about it, too. Your Steelers, they get shut down by the Eagles. Tough week for our teams. Geno Smith got hurt. I was so proud of Seattle. But, yeah, the Packers beat the crap out of these guys. Not even close in that game. And I got to give Green Bay credit, doing things on the road. And we talk about the Steelers maybe as a public dog there. And the Eagles show up in that game. I guess everybody's getting along in Philly, Scott. No problems, no fights. It's all good.
Well, let's look at the reality of it. The Steelers were moving the ball. They got down to the 20, and then Najee Harris fumbled a perfect pitch from Russell Wilson, and the game was over. Right then and there, the game was over. And then, to add insult to injury, T.J. Watt twisted his ankle in that game. I will say I felt bad for Geno. I felt worse for T.J., and I felt nothing at all for Patrick Mahomes' injury.
I got to tell you, Scott, I don't even know how this team does it. Like, it's unbelievable. It's like a magic act every single week. They haven't covered a game since the 49ers. They win games. Cleveland, what is Jameis Winston? Like, what is your deal, bro? You march down the field, and all you do is throw picks. Back-to-back picks in the Denver game. Scott, Cleveland was hanging. Their defense was playing well. Garrett gets poked in the eye. Guy apologizes, sure, but it's still no penalty on the play. He got, eye poked. Like, what is happening here? Anyway, Cleveland sucks. We all know that, but this Kansas City team, it's amazing to me, Ferrall. I don't know how they do it. I don't know. Like, literally, it's whatever. Like, I'm going to tell you, Bills are better. Everybody's better. Like, these guys, but hey, they can turn on a switch. Who knows?
I cannot believe that you, Carver, all of them bet on the Browns. Not only did he bet on the Browns, he bet on the Browns to win the game outright. And I went 7-0 in the 1 o'clock games and then bent over in the 4 o'clock games. So I only hit one of those 4 o'clock games, the Arizona game at home at the Toaster they covered. What did you think when you saw the Buccaneers win their fourth straight game when they literally lit up the Chargers? They better be careful or they might lose their playoff bid.
Yep. They got a huge game, Scott. Great call by you. Divisional matchup Thursday night, Broncos-Chargers. Let's get real. Like, this is a real game. Denver's finding ways. I know Jonathan Taylor, what a stoop. Honest to God, if I see any more guys celebrate before you get over the line, like, do your damn job. Be like Barry Sanders. Hand the referee the ball and shut up. Like, what are you doing? You're costing your team games. You could have 14 points. I don't get these guys. Are you stupid? Figure it out. Get over the line. Then you can do whatever the hell you want. Man, I will never understand this. Scott, you are right. And one thing I will say, look at Mike Evans' career. This guy has had Mike Glennon as a quarterback, like big neck. And this guy is doing time after time after time. He's a machine. He catches the ball. He's like you in the post at the YMCA. Get out of my face, losers. I'm going to crush you. And that's what he does. Imagine this guy had a real quarterback.
Two guys yesterday that dropped the ball at the goal line. It wasn't Taylor by himself. The guy for the Bengals did it too.
It's unbelievable. I don't know. And remember earlier on in the year, it cost the team a game was guy in the Jets. Like, what are you doing? Like, what the hell are you doing? Get in the end zone. Like, why would you even think about putting the ball down before you're clearly across? Like, I just don't I don't understand the concept. It's just really stupid. And I guess these guys are thinking about their celebrations instead of getting things done. That's the world we're living in right now. But you said it, huge game on Thursday. Man, I got to give the Buccaneers all the credit in the world. This team is underrated. All they do is go in there.
Go back to that Indy game for a second. Do you realize that when he did that, they went up big? But when they called it, and it took them 5 minutes to kick the extra point, so you knew something was up, they never scored again in the game. That was the end of them right there. Taylor cost them the game.
He did. And a lot of people, Indianapolis, 4.5. I know Gabe was there. I was thinking the same thing, close game. And you killed yourself. You go up 14 points in that game and literally take away another team's will or make them question themselves. Instead, big reversal. It was like the Carolina play. First play, they're going in for a touchdown, Young fumbles. I go up to my girlfriend, we're done. Carolina is not winning this game. Let's get on Dallas immediately.
Had that feeling. I bet on Dallas. Now listen,
Funny, Scott.
Do you realize that with the Colts loss and the Dolphins loss in Houston, I hit that game as well, Houston at home at NRG. With those two losses, the Steelers got in the playoffs. They got a bid yesterday. They're in. It doesn't matter what happens in the North. They're in.
Exactly. That's the way things shake down. It's funny. I actually took it in the butt in the 1 o'clock games, and I grinded back in the 4 because Buffalo was my biggest play. And thank God, Scott, I was thinking conspiracy theories, like maybe go under. I'm like, don't be stupid. The line is what it is for a reason, and not only did the game go over, it went way over. Congratulations to the Bills and Morency. That box score is not even close. And I'll tell you another thing about the Lions, Scott. I don't know how you feel. Dan Campbell, I love your aggressive nature, but dude, like, honest to God, like, sometimes you got to punt the ball. Like going for a 4th down all the time. It cost you actually a Super Bowl berth versus the Niners. Stop being stupid. Sometimes you got to kick the ball away. The guy goes for it every 4th down. Like, use your head.
I don't think he's going to change. I really don't. I think a leopard doesn't change its spots. He's going to keep being who he is. But here's the deal. They are so damaged with injuries. Today they lost 2 more, a defensive tackle and the running back Montgomery. Now it's Gibbs and only Gibbs. I honestly believe that with all of their injuries, I mean, they are absolutely decimated with injuries, and particularly on the defensive side of the ball, that I believe they can say bye-bye to the Super Bowl. They're not winning the Super Bowl.
They might not, Scott.
They have no defense. They have no defense. They have no one's healthy. Their season will end because of injuries.
It could, Scott. And I'll tell you one thing. Don't worry about the regular season. Don't worry about the Bears. Just get healthy. Like, you can't be playing these guys. Your goal at the start of the year was to play in the damn Super Bowl. You're one of the favorites, and now it could all go away. That's the bottom line. You got to think about resting guys, and you got to think about getting healthy. But you're right. It could be too much. And Hutchinson still hasn't come. Remember, we talk about it. When's he coming back? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't have faith in that. The guy shattered his leg. I'm not. Like, what's he going to come back and then start, rifling off sacks and making stops? I don't believe a guy that does what he did to get injured that badly will recover in the same season. In fact, it'll be interesting to see if he's ever the same player again with the damage that he caused to that leg. You go doubleheader tonight, 2 games, Minnesota at the bank in Minneapolis taking on the Bears, and the Falcons taking on the Raiders in Cincinnati. I'm not going to hub down Las Vegas. A lot of people are teasing this 2 games, like, the Vikings down and the Falcons down. I saw some of that already today. Do you buy into that?
No, I don't. I think I'd actually look at both underdogs in this game. I think the Vikings might win in a teaser. I don't mind that, but I think the Bears covered tonight. I think it's closer than anticipated. And how do you lay points with the Falcons, Scott? They're a horrible ATS team. I got to be honest, even with the Raiders' problems, I'm not laying points with Atlanta. Sorry.
The Raiders are ass mustard. That's why you lay the points against the Raiders. Okay? Let's be clear. Dijon ass mustard.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So later we'll get into the Bucks and Thunder in the NBA Cup final tomorrow night in Vegas, and we'll talk about Travis Hunter winning the Heisman Trophy. Right now, don't forget, Sports Rage weeknights at 10. Along all of our outlets, you catch Morency with a double shot every day from Vancouver right here on C2C. Gabe, yesterday I noticed a couple things. One, that, Josh Allen and the Bills are better than the Steelers, not because they played them, but because they handled their business. I mean, even in the game that they lost in L.A., they put up 42 points and made a comeback. Yesterday, they shredded the Lions at Ford Field and kicked their ass 6 ways till Sunday. Meanwhile, the Steelers couldn't get out of their own way. You get a Najee fumble. You get no offense whatsoever besides the Freiermuth touchdown catch that, pulled them within 7 or whatever it was. But they still got their ass beat. And then they got Watt hurt his ankle, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people think it's the Bills and Lions. I don't even think the Lions are in my focus anymore, Gabe. All their injuries. I mean, they are so absolutely crippled with injuries. How can you win a Super Bowl if your entire team is in the hospital? It's not happening. I just don't see it. And yesterday was proof of it.
Well, I thought, that Lions game is a lot like the Bills-Rams game was for the Lions. The Lions have been on a roll. They hadn't lost in like 9-10 weeks or whatever it was. And, eventually, you're not going to win every football game. And you almost want to lose a game. I think, like, if you're the Buffalo Bills, I wasn't really upset about the loss. It reminds the team sometimes. It's like college basketball, Scott. A lot of big-time coaches like to lose in a conference tournament early. They get out, they get rested for the NCAA tournament, and they can remind their players, you guys aren't as good as you think you are, right? It's not just that easy. We're going to show up every week. But you are right about the injuries for the Lions. Like, it's just going to be too much for them to overcome at some point in time. And the Lions need to win games in track meets right now. And, yeah, their offense is good, but, it's not like Buffalo. Like you said, like you look at the Buffalo Bills right now, they're sending a message. Josh Allen's sending a message. They say defense wins championships, which is, a little antiquated, I think, Scott, in today's day and age. You're going to have to outscore the Bills, point blank. They're going to score, right? There's not a dispute about it. The Buffalo Bills are going to hang 30-plus on you.
Yep.
Can you keep up with them, right? And is the Bills' defense great? No, but
No.
It's better than the numbers. The thing is, when your offense is putting up these tons of points and you play in these games, you're going to give up points. You're on the field a lot. It's just a fast game. There's a lot of possessions, so it's going to happen. You just have to come up with the stops when you need them. Come up with, it's sort of like arena football. Come up with a couple of stops, score every time you touch the ball, we'll win the football game. That's the Buffalo Bills mentality right now. To me, they're the team to beat, Scott, and I tweeted it yesterday. If not now, when? Right? I mean, we went through this window before with Jim Kelly and company where it's like, guys, you're the best team in the league. You just need to actually do it and finish it off. Here we are again. Josh Allen's the best quarterback in football this year, right? Mahomes has his accolades. I'm going to give him that. But the best quarterback, right now, the best player in the league is Josh Allen. Like, he's in that, get the F out of my way. I'm going to win the game for us. And they got through the gauntlet now, Scott, right? They lost the Rams game, fine. Now they're at home. They get the Patriots. They get the Jets. They get the Patriots again. It's a little tune-up for the playoffs right now. And I don't even care if they have home field advantage. I think Buffalo can go into Arrowhead and punch those guys in the mouth. And they could stumble the Chiefs potentially. But like you were talking about the Lions, Scott, to me, the NFC is a little bit more open than the AFC is. Baltimore, dangerous, I get it. But, the Denvers of the world, a lot of these teams, I don't really think Pittsburgh are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Good team, get into the playoffs, but they really like Super Bowl caliber. I look at the NFC, and I see more teams that could potentially, you talked about it, Scott, like, yeah, Detroit's cute and stuff. I look at Philadelphia as a team to beat.
Philadelphia is the best team probably in football with the Bills. I could see Philly Bills.
Well, and one thing I don't want to see, I don't want to get ahead, but Saquon Barkley's a load to deal with, right? I know the Bills can beat the Lions. They beat them 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, and the Lions were good. They just beat them again in a track meet. Philadelphia's a dangerous team, but there's a lot of dangerous teams that people are kind of sleeping on in the NFC. One of them's playing tonight in the Minnesota Vikings. The only reason people don't buy into them is because their quarterback is Sam Darnold, right? People just have a hard time wrapping their head around the fact that Darnold can go to a Super Bowl or win games. The Packers can beat anybody on any given day. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Scott, they could beat the Eagles. They could beat the Lions. They already beat the Lions this year. They played a close game with the Lions last year in the playoffs, the Buccaneers. Like, the Lions can play with anybody. The LA Rams, bro. You want to play Sean McVay when he has a week to prepare for you? And Matt Stafford, if you give Stafford time with Cooper Kupp and Nakua, they'll pick you apart. The NFC is kind of wide open, in my opinion, Scott. It's going to be a lot of fun in the playoffs. There's no guarantee, bro, it's going to be Detroit or Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know about, I would agree with that. I don't think there's a guarantee of anything. But I do think Philadelphia, they manhandled the Steelers. The Steelers in the first half had 10 yards. They couldn't do anything against that defense, and Hurts threw the ball all over their secondary. I lost a lot of faith in the Steelers yesterday. But you know what? A team that I've been picking on is the Vikings. I've said they're paper lions, all the rest. They're not going anywhere. They're one and done. They can tie the Lions with a win tonight over the Bears. Are they legit enough to go to the NFC title game with Philly instead of the Lions?
I think they are. And as you stated, the Vikings actually control their own destiny, as wild as it sounds, because there's a lot of it's always talking about Philadelphia and Detroit for that one seed, the top seed. And even yesterday, after Detroit loses, they still hold the edge against Philadelphia in the tiebreakers. So hypothetically, Detroit controls their destiny, but don't look now. The Minnesota Vikings play the Detroit Lions still. If the Vikings win out, guys, they're the one seed. It's like they're the one seed, and suddenly they have home field advantage. I have a lot of respect for O'Connell. I could see the Vikings getting to the NFC Conference Championship game. I don't see them getting to the Super Bowl just because of their sort. It's almost like Buffalo, or Buffalo actually going to get
because of what?
Their past history and Sam Darnold. Is Sam Darnold really going to win 2 playoff games and get to the Super Bowl? Are the Vikings? When was the last time the Vikings were in the Super Bowl? Bud Grant was their coach.
Bud was the man.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because There is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Talking to Morency, I know you think the Bills are going to get to the Super Bowl. My question is, do you think that Mahomes' high ankle sprain will heal in time for the playoffs and that the Chiefs will be their normal selves in the postseason and get to they're going to have the number 1 seed. They're going to play at Arrowhead every game. And you think that with his ankle, that the Bills will go there and beat them?
I don't think the Chiefs' offense can keep up with the Bills. Now, can their defense slow the Bills down? Yes, right? They win because of their defense, not their offense. Right? They're a defensive-led team. Mahomes is a star, but what does their offense do? Their offense isn't scaring anybody. Let's just be real. But they have the aura, right? Until they're beat, Scott, I'm not dismissing them. They have to be beat still. And I tell you what, even if they don't have Mahomes this week, I think they could beat the Houston Texans, actually. I noticed a lot of people, oh, my God, the Texans will beat them for sure. They have a really good defense, guys. They really do. They have a really good defense. And we've seen them win before, Scott. When Mahomes was out, Chad Henne won for them. Now, is Carson Wentz as good as Chad Henne? I don't think so. Even though, he has better stats and all that. Chad Henne's a veteran. Chad Henne was a stud in college. He was a good quarterback, Chad Henne. So they won with Chad Henne. KC the sky hasn't fallen on KC when Mahomes has had to leave for brief periods before. So I'm just stating, the demise of the Chiefs is a little premature.
They're getting points Saturday.
It's wild. Against the Texans team, nobody even really believes in.
Yeah, and they already clinched yesterday, the South, so the game is meaningless to them.
Yeah, they'll want to win. They'll want to keep on winning because they've been stumbling. They got to dial it up a notch. Even Houston, they're not really clicking. Houston and Washington are kind of the same right now. They're winning, but it's not, it's not really clicking right there. It's oh, my God, we won the game. All right, thank God. All right, we got it. We won the game. It's not boom, yeah, we won the game. And we were, it's a different level, but, they're still a dangerous team, Houston. They're a good football team, not a great football team. They're not Super Bowl contenders.
They're not going anywhere. What do you think of, why do you like the Bears tonight?
Listen, if you look at the Bears' offense, they can move the ball. Caleb Williams is very good against the blitz, and the Vikings do like to blitz a lot with Flores and that package. We saw, the Bears got lit up last week. Now, do I love the Bears? No. But I think the point spread is too high, and I think the total is too low. I think Minnesota's going to score in Chicago, right? I'm thinking this game is like, 27-23, 27-21 type of deal. It'll be around the point spread. That back door will be wide open. The Chicago Bears will get up for this game. It's prime time. It's Monday Night Football. So, the motivation's not going to be a factor for them. And the fact that I see that the Minnesota Vikings have Vanilla Ice performing at halftime was the cincher for me, Scott. Give me the Bears. Was Fat Joe unavailable?
Vanilla Ice is doing
you're an NFL team. Like, Vanilla Ice should be playing down at the Great Mall of America or whatever, like outside of Macy's or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't outside a cell phone store in the mall. You're an NFL team. Like, really? You got Vanilla Ice at halftime? How much did that cost you? 5 dimes? Ooh, you dropped a lot.
Collaborate and listen. But listen, I got to be honest with you. Yesterday, every team that was over 3 points covered. I mean, like every team that had a higher spread than 3 was like 7-1 against the spread. The Vikings are going to kick their ass. Atlanta and Vegas in the second game, I told Cam that, Vegas is ass mustard. They're terrible. I mean, they are awful.
Yeah, Vegas are bad right now. Like, they're a bad football team on and off the field. Like, there's differences between having a bad record and competing and stuff. There's a difference when your coach just, like, has disdain for you and you kind of know your coach is on the way out anyways. Like, Pierce just rips these guys publicly, like, all the time. Crosby, I'm not saying he's tapped out.
You think they're going to fire him after one season, Pierce?
Oh, he's done. Mike Vrabel will be the next coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Telling you right now.
Why not the Bears?
Vrabel will be the coach because Vrabel and Brady.
The Bears, not the Raiders.
Mike Vrabel and Tom Brady are buddies. They were teammates in the New England Patriot days.
Taking the Raider job is like drinking acid.
Yeah, you know what though? They're gonna have Shedeur Sanders as their quarterback. It's going to be a new look, right?
I'm not sure about that. I know all that stuff you said about he doesn't want to play in New York is crazy. He's not.
I never said he didn't want to play in New York.
No, I'm saying the media has said you've said he's going to the Raiders. Well, the Giants have the number 1 pick, and the Giants are going to take him.
We'll see if they have the number 1 pick.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
right, back with the Prime Minister on Coast to Coast. Let's go back to the link on Sunday. The Eagles shut out the Steelers in the second half, literally on their way to a 27-13 win in Philadelphia. Hurts 290, 2 passing touchdowns, 45 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. A.J. Brown, 110, 1 TD. Smith, 109 yards, 1 TD. So everybody was happy. They were dancing together. I guess they're all lovers again. After all the talking between them, Jalen hits Brown here for the first Eagles study to go up 10-3 on Fox.
Hurts firing wide. Caught! Who else? A.J. Brown. Touchdown.
Of course, it was to A.J. Brown. You had to shut him up. And you know what's funny? After the game and their little Swedish dance they did with their toe tapping on the field, they said that was for everyone to shut the F up. Meanwhile, like, are you kidding me? You phony ass bees. Honestly, you're the dude that was complaining. No one was complaining about anything with your 10 wins in a row. They were saying that Hurts can't throw the ball because you were complaining that the passing game sucks and that they don't throw you the ball. And then you turn it around and blame who? Your fans? The media? You are a phony-ass bitch. That's what you are. That is exactly what you are, you phony-ass bitch. That A.J. Brown is a phony-ass bitch, and I'll say it again every time. I say B all the time, but when it gets so bad like this guy, blaming everyone after the game now, you're crying ass. You're in a crying game, you femme. Here he is, this guy after the game. Unbelievable that I got to listen to this guy complaining after the game that it's everyone else. We wanted to shut up everyone else. Now here's Jalen Hurts telling everyone else to shut up.
So that's what y'all want to see, huh?
A lot of scrutiny with the passing game. Does that make a performance like this any sweeter?
What's next?
Better?
You're going to invite your fans
The scrutiny is never ending. It's nothing new, and so that's something that I find a thrill in, and I appreciate being told I can't and that we can't. And I know that I lead this team, and it takes a lot out of it. It demands a lot out of you, and I just want to show up and be the best teammate, quarterback, and be the best I can be for the guys on the team.
Devontae talked about there being uncomfortable conversations this past week. AJ said there were extended meetings beyond what you guys normally do. We'll talk about the passing game. Can you take us a little bit inside how that approach went this past week?
No, I won't.
Yeah, I told you he wouldn't because he's a phony too. So here's the deal. What is next? They're going to tell their fans don't come to the link because we don't like you either. They are against their own fans. They are against the Philadelphia media. They are against the national media. And what's next? You're going to blame national NFL fans that could give a rat's ass about your stupid ass? That no one cares about your problems in Philadelphia. You think Kansas City fans care about the Eagles? And all your fans,
football team, Ferrall. What's the deal here?
They win every game they play, and all they do is cry.
It's ridiculous. I couldn't agree with you more. What's the problem here? You guys are they have 12 wins. What is happening?
10 in a row.
Yeah, know what happens when teams scream when you're a horrible team. You know what I mean? You could understand this maybe from the Cowboys or another team that was supposed to be better, but they'll win every week is what you said. You just beat the Steelers in the Battle of Pennsylvania. Unreal.
I mean, it is unreal. And you know I'm right. You saw that whole thing last week play out where Brown, it started with that guy, Graham, who did his radio show on Whip, who called out Brown and said Brown hates Hurts. Next thing you know, it's chaos. Everybody's saying, Graham said Brown hates Hurts. Then Hurts saying, we're going to handle it as men. And Sirianni said, we want everyone together. That no one has to be best of friends here. We just need to win together. Then the guy has a big game, and they're after the game saying, you saw what he said. This is what you all wanted, right? That wasn't good enough for you. And then Brown's saying that they're friends. He's lying through his teeth. He obviously doesn't like him. They don't get along, but there's been a million football players over the years that don't get along on teams. And you're a pro, you get paid a lot of money. Do your job. So what do you have to go out? What are you going to go after the game, make love to him at his house, in his bed? I mean, what are you going to go home and have dinner with him and his kids? Screw that. I cannot believe. And then the day after, Cam, the day after, Graham had to walk it back because Howie Roseman made him. He had to go up publicly and say, I never said that. And then they turn it on their fans and the Philadelphia media that they're the ones that did it. Here's an idea for you, Graham. Stop doing your stupid ass radio show on WIP. Why are you doing a radio show every Monday night? Are you a professional football player or are you a talk show host? Which is it?
Amen, brother. I got to tell you, I've never seen more BS from a team that is tied for the best record in the National Football League. Relax. 10 in a row. Come on.
What a soap opera that is. I'll give them this. Like I said, they kicked the Steelers' ass. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
That took a real big dent out of my Steelers. I got to tell you, that just showed a real big weakness for them. But I have said on this show, and Mafia is my witness, for 2 months, I have said that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, not the Lions. It's the Eagles. Mm-hmm. The Eagles had better on both sides of the ball, better running game. Montgomery and Gibbs are not as good as Barkley. Okay. Secondly, their defense is clearly better than the Lions, who are absolutely a mash unit. The Eagles shut the Steelers down yesterday. They couldn't do a effing thing in the entire game. By the way, we told you that T.J. Watt left the game with a lower leg injury in the fourth quarter. Mike Tomlin today said he was walking pretty well, and he expects him to be ready to go on Saturday against the Ravens in the Charm City. So the Bills hold off the Lions. We told you about all the numbers. We didn't tell you about Goff, though. 494, 5 touchdown passes. St. Brown, 193 yards and a touchdown. The Bills were up 30-14 in the third, but the Lions outscored them 28-13 the rest of the way. But here's Josh Allen hitting Ray Davis on CBS.
Try to surprise one, but you have to declare it now.
Now Allen, short toss, easy doing, touchdown, Bills. Davis, the recipient.
And now let's listen to Dan Campbell, the Lions head coach.
I thought we'd get the possession, you know. I thought we were going to get that ball. And it was one of Bates' best kicks that I've seen him have. That was a big kicker at the end. You know, that thing took a good jump on us. And Hollis made a heck of a play on it. And, you know, obviously now sitting here hindsight after them taking it down to the 3-yard line, yeah, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But it is what it is.
He always does it. Now, let me ask you this. I agree with Gabe about everything he said about that the Bills will score against anyone. Josh Allen will score against anyone. They will score through the air. They will score with him running. Last week he ran for 3. This week he ran for 2 more. Last week he threw for 3. Yesterday he threw for 2 more. It's always something when this guy puts up big numbers. But where I don't agree with him is that, this is it. It's now or never because this is the team. They've been the team for the last 5 years. The team that can't beat the Chiefs, exactly who they are.
Yeah, no, and another thing is, too, Scott, like it's one of those situations. Take a look at the Eagles. They're giving up, they don't give up over 20 points in the game. You talked about it. Defense is key. The Lions do not have a defense. I know the Bills are going to score in every play. You still can't do that stuff. And this Coach Campbell, motivator of men, he eats body parts, but I'll tell you, he's a horrible in-game manager, and some of these decisions are stupid. It's like hitting against a 6 in blackjack with a 16. Worry about what the dealer's got, numbnuts. That's the whole thing. Figure it out. It's stupid.
I love how it comes down to the blackjack and free bet.
It always does, Scott. It always does. See you in Atlantic City, friend.
I love it.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are one-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so we've talked about the Lions' problems. We've talked about Philadelphia, all they do is win, but then the whole week is a soap opera of guys that can't stand each other. This guy can't do this, that guy can't do that. And then on Sunday, they're all in bed together having an orgy because they're lovers once again when they win a football game. Are you kidding me? Like, I've never seen anything so ridiculous in my life. And I don't, thank God I don't live there and have to listen to that. Honestly, I wouldn't listen to it. I've never listened to it, and I never would. Turn on the radio to listen to people screaming and crying, and all day long, all they do is complain. I can't take it, honestly. Let's talk about the Bucs. They are dangerous because no one can stop Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. Remember, Mike Evans missed a bunch of games, but he's on the verge of another 1,000-yard season. They rolled the Chargers. They outscored them 27-0 in the second half. Mayfield, 288, 4 tutties. Evans, 159, 2 tutties. Bucky Irving, 117 yards rushing. Here's Mike Evans, 57-yard tutty, his first of 2 from Baker to put the Bucs up just at halftime by a nudge, and then they rolled him in the second half on Fox.
Empty set, blitz coming. Mayfield out to the left. Throws on the move for Mike Evans, who gets loose. Down the sideline, Mike Evans. It's a touchdown for Tampa Bay.
I mean, if you can't stop Evans, how can you beat the Buccaneers? I mean, if this guy has 2 touchdowns in a game, I bet they're literally 150-0. I mean, literally, when was the last time this guy had 2 touchdowns in a game and they lost?
Good call, Scott. Look at the quarterbacks he played with too early in his career. Josh McCown, Mike Glennon, we talked about this. Jameis Winston, all he does is throw picks. Ryan Fitzpatrick. This guy's not even working with, Joe Burrow and everything else. Let's give Mike Evans all the credit in the world, and banged up with injuries, and he just keeps on ticking. My opinion, instant Hall of Famer. Don't even question it. If this guy had Baker's been good, but think about the guys he had to play with too, and all he does is perform. I love that guy.
Oh, I think Baker Mayfield's a gamer. I think he's a badass football player, no questions asked. Well, the Broncos used a huge fourth quarter to stampede the Colts 31-13. It also helps when Taylor drops the ball at the goal line on a gigantic rushing touchdown down the sideline that got negated. Bo Nix, 130 passing yards, 3 tutties, 3 picks. Richardson, 172 and 2 interceptions. Taylor, 107 yards, dropped the TDB for the end zone. Colts had, count them, 5 turnovers, 3 fumbles, 2 picks. Broncos, 3 interceptions. Colts led 10-0 in the second. Broncos outscored them from that point 31-3 in the Mile High City. Nick Bonito jumps into the Colts throw back on a trick play and takes it to the hizzy to extend the lead in the fourth on CBS.
Where they can hit some quick hitters or use the run game or quarterback run game.
They set up Mitchell. It's going to be a double pass. And that one is intercepted. Oh! It's Bonito.
Wow. I guess it would have been cool if they would have had the rest of the play there into the end zone.
Hey, listen,
You know what I
Scotty,
mean?
don't let the score fool you, 31-13. Indianapolis could have won this game. You talked about it. 14 points taken back, and it changed the whole damn game. 5 turnovers, and they lose by 18. And these guys are giving away balls like before they go into the end zone. That was ridiculous. Let's give the Broncos D credit, but also the Colts killed themselves in this game. Horrible.
No doubt. Commanders hold on for a 20-19 win over the Saints in New Orleans. Commanders led 20-7 in the fourth before the Saints came back, and they missed on the 2-point conversion that would have won the game. Jaden Daniels, 226, 2 tutties, 66 rushing yards. McLaurin, 7 catches, 73 yards, 2 tutties. Spencer Rattler, 135 yards, and a TD in relief for the Saints. Here's Jaden Daniels somehow keeping things alive before hitting McLaurin for the first of his 2 tutties to open the scoring on Fox.
Field once again. Daniels looking. Moving to his left. Under pressure. Stays on his feet. And now he throws to the end zone. It is caught for a touchdown by McLaurin.
Kelly Albert with a call. Yes.
I love that guy.
He's doing Knicks games one night, Rangers games on, then the NFL on Sundays. The busiest man in show business.
Honestly, Scott, and he does hockey too. I remember when I was covering the Leafs, he came up, he goes, Cam, I love your morning show when I was working on XM series. Like, the guy is all class, and I love that man. He is he's the hardest working guy in show business. Big fan.
Yeah, he's been on my show a million times. I've known Kenny forever. I've known the whole family forever. I'll never forget I was at the Forum in L.A. at a Laker game, and Marv went, Ferrall, do not come near me. Because I worked with Steve, I worked with Steve Albert for years on Battle Dome, and I just spoke with Steve like a month ago, by the way, and I knew Al and obviously their nephew Kenny. So there's so many Alberts. They're like a tree. There's a family tree. Ravens destroyed the Giants 35-14, and they covered the big number in the swamps of Jersey. Lamar 5 touchdown passes. Bateman 80 yards, receiving 2 tutties. Here's Bateman embarrassing a couple of Giants on CBS.
Going into today.
Jackson looking deep down the field. Bateman is wide open at the 10, at the 5, and Bateman gets in. Touchdown, Baltimore.
All right, let's listen to Lamar now talk about Mark Andrews.
Man, like I said, I got a guy with me, man. That's a guy right there, like one of the GOATs to just play football ever, I believe, just entering the league together. And from then to now, it's like each and every year we just trying to get better and perfect our craft from years previous. And I believe we're doing that. He got injured last year, came back, people was talking about this and that. We need to trade Mark, this and that. I didn't forget that, and I know he didn't forget that, and he's just showing it each and every game.
He broke the franchise record for tutties, Andrews, on Sunday. By the way, they're basically cutting Deontay Johnson to malcontent.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, here's some advice for you, Deontay. That's 3 teams in less than a year that have gotten rid of you. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's you. Yep. Look in the mirror. Maybe you're the problem. They told him to go home today. They're done with him. He'll never play another game for the Ravens.
Oh, God, no. They don't need him either. Huge game for you guys this week, Scott. Steelers, Ravens, expect blood. Got to take
Screw the Ravens. Screw Deontay Johnson. And buyer beware when it comes to Deontay Johnson. Honestly, he's as crazy as Antonio Brown was.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because There is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred, or just worked on the side, or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Alcohol. Anyway, the Packers rolled the Seahawks 30-13 in Seattle. Love 2 tutties. Jacobs a tutty. Dobbs 2 tutties. Geno left hurt. That sums it up. Texans shut down the Dolphins to win 20-12 in H-Town. Stroud 2 tutties. Collins 2 tutties. Tua 3 picks. Thanks for losing along with the Colts so the Steelers got into the playoffs. I appreciate you, Tua, and your family in Hawaii. The Dolphins wide receiver Grant DeBose was stretchered off the field and remains hospitalized, but has movement in his extremities. Thank God for that. The Chiefs rolled the Browns 21-7, and Mahomes rolled his ankle. They're saying it's a high ankle sprain, and he's fine, but he's week to week. He's not playing on Saturday. They're getting to at home. How much does the high ankle sprain affect their playoffs? Because you've seen him in the playoffs before, and Super Bowl with a bad ankle. Do you remember him in the Super Bowl running around with his bad ankle, limping all day? How much will it affect the Chiefs' chances for a three-peat?
He'll fight. You know what, Scott? I'm going to tell you something. I wish he played this week, but I know it's serious, and Kansas City's goal is the Super Bowl. Remember, their backup's Carson Wentz, and he's got a lot to prove. I remember back in the day when they had Chad Henne as their back, he actually saved the Chiefs' season. Mahomes will be all right. He'll play hurt. They'll shoot him up. Everything's going to be fine, but be very careful because now, Prince Harry, Carson Wentz is going to be in there. I want to take Houston in this game, but something's telling me they might be more dangerous than Wentz than a hurt Mahomes. Very interesting game. I
hope so because I watched him yesterday and he sucks. He still sucks. Let's just get real. Like I'm a real game analyst here. I don't mince words. They never scored another point in the game with that guy in the game. That's all I know. Everywhere he's been, it's gotten worse. Nick Chubb broke his foot in that game. He's done. The Bengals win again. Burrow 3 tutties. Levis 3 picks. Speaking of mayonnaise, that's what his game is. Mayonnaise.
Oh, got it. Honest to God,
awful.
Scott, this guy, you know what you have. Hey, mayonnaise boy, you're done. We already know what you are. You put in Rudolph and you try to do it. No, honestly, like Tennessee, get a quarterback. Will Levis, he gone.
Did you see that touchdown that Higgins made? He went up and caught that ball and took that shot. He's a great receiver.
Do you know how many games Will Levis has cost Tennessee against the spread this year? I can probably say 8. All he does is throw pick sixes, and they just don't cover numbers because of this guy. He sucks.
I wouldn't bet on the Titans if Joe Montana was their quarterback. Okay, I'm not even kidding. That's how bad they are. Bengals defensive man Sam Hubbard is likely out of the season after suffering a PCL injury, whatever that means. Cowboys beat up the Panthers. There's one thing I said to you on Friday. I went, I'm not betting on that team when they're a favorite. I'll bet on them when they're an underdog. I won 3 in a row with them as a dog, them as a 2.5-point favorite, the kiss of death. And I said the Cowboys would beat their ass, and they did.
You're right, Scott. I bet them 5 weeks in a row as dogs. I love the Panthers. Kind of saw this happening. And the minute you said it, a favorite, totally different than being a dog. Good call by you. I was on the Panthers. I got smoked.
So let's face it. Trayvon Diggs is having, I think it's his second knee surgery now. This is 2 years of knee injuries. He's done for the year. The Cowboys' great corner suddenly becoming Meatloaf. I mean, my guy's got bad knees. That's it. That's all there is to it. Now, the Jets finally won a game, and Mafia is livid about them winning. He wanted them to tank out, but they win in Jacksonville 32-25. And the reason they won was Devontae Adams. Did you see that over-the-shoulder Willie Mays catch he made on the left sideline?
Honest to God, Scott, I haven't seen that guy open that in like 5 years like that. That was ridiculous. I don't know what the hell the Jaguars are doing, but I'm going to tell you one thing, and we walk it back here on the show. We're real. Mac Jones is playing good football. I thought that guy was a punk for kicking guys in the gonads, but you know what? This guy's grinding right now, and kudos to him. At least he's trying, but Mafia's right. The Jets, you need to lose games. Don't win now. Stupid.
The Jets are expected to speak to former Titan GM John Robinson and ESPN analyst Louis Riddick as they start interviewing for their vacant GM job. They're not allowed to interview anyone that's still playing, which is everyone. Louis Riddick is up for every front office job. ESPN just reports that because they want us to believe that he's some powerful front office executive. Now, I don't deny he's worked in front offices before, but he's mentioned for every single job. He reminds me of Eric Bieniemy. Every time there was a job open, Eric Bieniemy was going to be the head coach. And now, what did he do? Go to college and still left that job? He couldn't get it done in college either. I wouldn't hire that guy as my head coach. Let's just face facts. Cardinals beat up the Pats 30-17 in Arizona. That game sucked. Niners are suspending Devondre Campbell for 3 games because he's a loser and quit on his team. And the NFL selects the Pats-Bills game this week to 4:25. They also moved the Browns-Bengals from Fox to CBS. And that gives you all the flex updates.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all people.
You don't want them to go 13-0 and then lose the first round of the playoffs.
Red.
This is their last shot. They don't really have anywhere else to go yet.
Hot take.
By the time I hit, I guess what, Route 33 up here, that ticket's cashing.
Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
I remember one time, I don't know if Kenny will remember this, I said put 100 on, I think I left it on a text, put 100 on this horse that won, and then Kenny called me back later and goes, hey, I never got the text. And I'm like,
no.
Oh yeah. Remember that, Kenny?
I would never stiff anybody. He texted me as they're loading into the gate, maybe, like it's too late.
The Bostonian versus the Book.